This is in reference to my video, Transcending the Ego. Now, there were a couple things I used in that video that nobody noticed, and I wouldn't really expect people to notice. It's so automatic. One thing I said a couple times is that the memories within the consciousness are within arm's reach of the ego. Well, the ego does not literally have arms, but of course everybody knew that I meant, that those facts were close by. But by saying that the ego has things within arm's reach, imposes a metaphor, a framing on the situation, where the ego has arms and by extension hands, and it manipulates things in the mind. It basically has, according to this metaphor, a virtual body, and I do believe that. I believe that the ego has a virtual body, that it moves around within the brain, just metaphorically speaking. Now, another metaphor in there, most notably, is a spatial metaphor for the mind itself that I use. And again, this kind of, sometimes you face complaints about this kind of metaphor, but basically most people will accept spatial metaphors like this. Why? Because everything comes down to a spatial or temporal metaphor, because everything literal has to do with space and time. It has to do with sense and motor functions, which relate to space and time. Now, that's my view, but also the view of cognitive science right now. Strictly speaking, my view would be that I don't even think those facts are literal. I think, in a sense, they're similar to the metaphors that the mind uses at a higher level, and also are metaphors in a sense. But be that as it may, in my diagram, I have put everything out in space, that a space with ideas in it. And so in this version of the diagram, for example, you can see where the trails in my mind lead to things that I can think about, but I'm not thinking about at the moment, according to this diagram. Now, spatial metaphors work really well, and this is why we like to diagram just about anything that we can think about. It's because we have a lot of built-in ability to process spatial concepts. So a spatial metaphor is really useful. Now, the idea of transcendence that I presented does rely on the spatial metaphor. Theoretically, that's a weakness of it, but I think you'll find, if you look at it, probably that it's a strength, that to interpret our existences as an idea space in which our existence is within the mind, and there's idea space without, is pretty useful.